Welcome everybody, Coach BK here. We're going to spend the next 15 minutes talking about SI issues, and I want to give you a little bit of background into why we're talking about this and how your yoga practice can help you with SI issues and kind of how it can hurt you a little bit. So the SI joint is where the hip bones connect in with the back. They're diagonally, and they're supposed to move around a little bit. Where we get into a pinch sometimes, and a lot of times women have SI issues, is because we stand funny. We've been holding babies on our hips for a while, and so you get into this kinetic habit of, being wonky on one side, or our shoulder purse, and then so your back kind of gets tight on one side, and it's all connected. So, after a lifetime of maybe bad posture or whatnot, or having babies, sometimes the relaxin hormone can relax things out and then set us up for kind of setting up some habits in the body that aren't that optimal. So you can have SI joints that are hypermobile, and you can have SI joints that are very tight. And this is kind of this imbalance, and this is what really causes the problem. In most of the cases in SI issues, the hip that hurts is the hypermobile one, the one maybe that isn't as strong, and so the pain is on that side. But the problem really lies in the tight hip that's kind of pulling everything around. So the key for SI issues is strength. It is always strength. For a hypermobile SI joint, really overstretching it isn't the answer. You want to get to the position, with your chiropractor or whatnot, PT person, to where the SI joint is in place, and then strength to keep it snugged up, but not so much that it's super tight and doesn't move the way it's supposed to. So your yoga practice can help your SI joint, and it can also kind of hurt it a little bit. A lot of people that have SI issues, they don't acknowledge the fact that it's different side to side. So when you're doing your poses, they need to be different side to side. For me, my right hip is stronger, my left SI hurts. I have IT band issues on the right side, and I overpronate and have hamstring issues on the left. So this is classic. And so if you have these types of setups, and then say you're a runner and you go run, then the running just kind of exacerbates this issue. So again, with the yoga practice, everything is very individual, so you kind of need to just find your own solution. One thing that I do kind of stress is pigeon pose with your body weight anchoring your hips down can be kind of not a lot of give, and you kind of get committed and stuck into that pose because it is weight bearing, and sometimes it's really uncomfortable and you find yourself sort of stuck in it. And so if you have fairly decent SI issues, I really wouldn't suggest pigeon pose on the floor on your mat. I would certainly do it on standing up and bringing your leg onto a bed or whatnot and doing that same activity. Standing up, you have more movement in the hip to kind of adjust, so you're not so abrasive and harsh on the joints that maybe hurt and weight bearing and just totally committed into it. So just a little bit on SI issues. Again, SI solution is definitely in the strength. And if you have SI issues, you're going to have back issues on one side, you're going to have shoulder issues on one side, and neck issues on one side, and they crisscross as they go up. So starting with the hips, starting with standing poses, trying to get things evened out as far as tightness and strength. If you need to go to the gym and do extra weights on one side to get the weaker hip a little bit stronger, that's great. So I wanted to show you a couple of strength moves for the back and the SI if it is in. And if you are recovering from SI issues, these are movements that you can do that for the most part will keep it nice and snug. You have on your back, you have fascial area just all along the back and the back hip and down into the hamstrings. This fascia area if you strengthen it, can be nice and tight and snug kind of the SI issues together. You know, as long as you're not doing a bunch of them to over tighten the area, this is what keeps your SI nice and happy. So the first movement that people find hard to do is a chair pose. So chair, just as a refresher, is like this, okay? And I'll do it from the side. So here, notice that my back is working. I have tight shoulders, so my shoulders are more here. You can also do it like this, okay? My knees are together, my feet are working. So chair pose. A little secret in the chair pose that really strengthens what we're talking about, this area right here, because your SI joint's right here. And I'll do it sideways. It's kind of hard to get sometimes, so have somebody watch you. So the movement is chair pose. We don't bend our knees. They stay where they're at. And I'm using my abs to draw down, okay? And then I'm engaging this area first to push up. So this is the movement. It's nice and small, but it's only right here. So if you were to do that 5 or 10 times, that'll really snug up this area. What it looks like when you don't do it right is this. Okay, so I'm initiating the movement with my top, not down here. So this is kind of a kinetic lesson in firing your body differently. This is one of the beautiful things about yoga, in that if we slow down and pay attention enough and maybe have help, someone's like, no, you didn't do that, initiate it right here first, how we can kinetically change our body habits. So here, again, it's this fold from the hip, and then I start the movement right here. See, my back doesn't round. This is a lot of work. It's not this. Okay, my hip area didn't move at all. So try that. That is one really good way of working that area. Tree pose is another way of strengthening this area back here. So standing on the left foot, and see how my hips aren't tilting out to the side. I'm squaring it up. My hips are mostly level. They're forward, and then I'm opening this up to the side without rotating around. This is also very good for your glutes and the area that supports that whole area in your SI. Okay, what it looks like on the right side. Here, like this. Again, not jutting the hip out. Nice and strong. Everything is lifted up. Okay? So this is a really good way of strengthening the SI joint. And then, of course, the standing poses, Warrior 2, they also kind of snug in that area if you do it right. So give those two poses a try as far as strengthening the SI. There's other gym exercises to do, but on the mat, the modified chair pose, tree pose, and then again, being very gentle with pigeon. Pigeon can be very harsh on the hips. If you wanted to do hip lengthening, a good pose to do, this is the same pigeon stretch. It's just your hips have the ability to move around, and you can, connect in with something so you take the balance out, and this idea. So this is the same stretch that we do laying down on the floor, that number 4 stretch where we reach through. This is the same pose as pigeon connected on the floor. I just have a little more control and movement of my knee, of my hip. On the other side, it looks like this. This is also a nice way to stretch twice on the right side, if that's your tight hip side, and once on the left. So you can kind of, over time, balance out the left and the right hip. So then we bring it up. And so that's just a little bit of a tutorial on SI issues. Go ahead and give it a try. More videos at bonniekissinger.com.